Okay, meeting is being live streamed. Vijay, your net connection seems to be unstable.
You are host now.
Thank you. Thank you, Feroz. In case you want to go, you can go.
Thank
Okay, I think Vijay's net connection is kind of unstable. Okay, yeah, it's unstable. Oh, she's there. Feroz is left. Okay, so let's start our unit today's in terms of the economic impacts of migration. In fact, in an earlier unit, we looked at how economics affects migration. In this particular unit, let's look at the impact of economic impact of migration. And in fact, there is a huge economic impact. In fact, in the earlier units, one of the slides that I presented was the impact of immigration on the US, for example. There was this study published in 2023. It was a story in Newsweek. Immigrants added 2 trillion to US GDP. So inevitably, we saw the fact that migration actually becomes better for the destination country, the host country. It also becomes better for the home country in terms of remittances which come in. But considering the fact that there is so much of political rhetoric against immigrants in the US, the immigrants actually added 2 trillion to US GDP in 2016, and the immigrants were left with 1.2 trillion after spending billions of dollars in tax. And inevitably, as demographically, as people increase, remember, people need to eat, they need to buy things, and inevitably the economy moves. If you, in fact, if you have people who have a health problem, who are illiterate, they would contribute less to economy. So anytime, in fact, that's one of the wrong narration which goes around. Uh, Education and health become a very important asset for increasing a country's economy, because as people become healthier and educated, they would contribute more in terms of the economy. So let's look at the role of migration in development, elaborate diaspora. Then with diaspora, there is something called a diaspora philanthropy. And let's, in this unit, quickly look at all that. We have read about globalization, how they are integrating countries, societies. It is reducing transportation and communication cost. Global world economy integrated and interconnected through multiple channels. And now, for the first time, there are state and non-state actors. Till now, they were only state actors, but now there are non-state actors which participate in the world economy. Everything impacts everything else. Sazaika and D. Haas suggest that globalization can be seen as a technology process. Now, it facilitated migration in threefold: lowered resources, constraints on mobility. Earlier, there was this, you needed high resources to move from one place to another. The threshold levels of wealth required to move have come down in terms of travel and communication. So that's one way. Strengthened migrant workers and transnational ties by making it easier to stay in touch. For those migrants who or indentured labor who moved from the Indian shores during colonizations, there was no coming back. But today, before a person migrates, the person knows where he or she is going. They are able to have a 360-degree view. They are able to move fast, and they are able to connect on a real-time basis. And then the third is the increased literacy in education, improved access to global informations, people's aspiration and awareness. As I said, today, before you go to a place, you are already knowing. And in fact, everything which happens come to you in real time. So, for example, there was an attack in a Moscow theater. Yesterday, it came to us in real time. We are able to see videos, we are able to see photographs, we are able to see real time messaging or real time information dispersal. and that changes the world. Key dimensions of a highly, but they also say that migration can be seen as a key dimension of the highly unequal global terms of exchange. Migration policies that give employment and residence right to certain favored groups, but at the same time exclude. And inevitably, capitalism has this habit of, even though it is by far a very efficient system in allocating resources, allocating labor, allocating capital, but obviously it also, reflects something of us versus them. It favors certain groups and excludes some others. And these exclusion mechanisms do not stop at migration, likely to make migrant worker more vulnerable to exploitation on the labor market. In fact, all these things also help in, then there is, this additional problems of smuggling, trafficking, and so on and so forth. Emergence of capitalism and subsequent global mobility has allowed the transnational capitalist class, and now there is this new class called the transnational capitalist class. So our billionaires are not today Indian capitalists, but they are a transnational capitalist class, which then get associated with the billionaires across the world. And we saw that during the pre-wedding celebration of one of our billionaires, where the transnational capital class was all there in full force. And then there is this new terms of Walmartization. Walmartization is, where the laborers have no right, there is no union, they cannot protest. Inevitably, it is detrimental to the labor, which typically all companies like even Amazon practice. New modalities, flexible labor no longer enjoys protection of state regulation, conditions of deunionization, informalized, casualized, part-time, contract, and temporary. And this is a worldwide phenomena which is happening. The whole thing of contractualization is the fact that, the corporations want to make more money to the detrimental of laborers. Workers have increasingly become commodified input, just as any other raw material. I'm sorry, you would be hearing a lot of, construction noises because I have a neighbor who's getting a house constructed, and every day there seems to be the same thak for some reason. They can't just finish one work and carry on, but the same work seems to be affected. Anyway, migration and development, migration affects the effect and is affected by development. Again, it's an interrelated world. Over a period of time, the world has got increasingly interrelated in various aspects. Nothing works in isolation. Anything that affects one place, even locally, can have global consequences. The reciprocal relationship between human mobility and development is being increasingly recognized by country. And inevitably, we have seen that in the research in the US that mobility actually helps. So, how does migration and development in terms of migration and capital work? UNDP handbook, human mobility generates mainly four types of capital: social, financial, human, and cultural. And all these generation of capital is good. Social capitals develop and maintain social ties across different location, yield to other resources known as social capital, allow certain creation of networks, facilitate flow of information skill. Today, social media is actually developing social capital. You might, have some similar form of culture. Actually, it also falls in the realm of cultural capital, but it also develops social capital because people are connected with each other. They are able to see, share, and empathize. Then there is a financial capital comprising remittances, private funds, in-cash transfers, the remittances become source of foreign exchange, contribute to macroeconomic development, human capital, skills, knowledge of migrants. Today, for example, through social media, I'm able to get so much of information which otherwise would have been impossible for me to get. And that's where it's a very strange thing with today, 2 billion people or more connected on this planet. we are still not able to reach out to the people to solve our own problems. We are increasingly resorting again to violence to solve problems. Cultural capital, well-being of migrants can be improved through mobility, acquisition of new ideas and values, which can be termed as this culture may be used for peace building, conflict resolution in home countries, in host countries, transnational places. So there is four types of capital. Then, of course, migration and economy, GPS 2018 report. Migrants have proved to be a positive force for economic growth of countries. And that's what we were talking. There is to be in the large global north or the Western countries, there is a large political rhetoric against migration, against immigrants, and yet they understand economically this political rhetoric is meaningless because the immigrants add or the migrants add three ways by which migrants drives economic profit, create a strong positive effect on GDP per capita. As I said, every human being in the course of his or her living, not existence, living is an economic engine for a simple reason. When I live, I eat, I wear clothes, I go out, I spend money. Every time the government, what we call as dole or welfareism or freebies or whatever is it, if it is given to people, any money given to people is normally spent. And even if that money is saved by people, that again goes in the development of the country. Because whatever you save in a bank, in terms of FDs, in terms of share market, you see each one of us is an economic engine. Working age, and you need to have working age population indirectly. And that's where India becomes a unique country because our demographic dividend is phenomenal. We have a large young population. Indirectly, especially lower skilled migrants drive greater low labor participation among natives because at the end of the day, these migrants come in, they are also motivating the other people to work. Migration improves output per worker by increasing human capital level, made indirect contribution by increasing incentives to invest in human capital. Among natives, it also increases total factor productive growth, filed over 40% of the global patent application. Today, if you look at the Fortune 500 companies or the Fortune 100 companies in the US, a lot of CEOs happen to be from India. You look at the biggest companies, the CEOs happen to be from India. They are immigrants. And in fact, the whole US technology market is driven by Indians and Chinese. Concentrating the most innovative areas of economy compared to the whole population, it helps fill acute skill shortage and drive aggregate productivity. Migrants by nature are increasingly likely to take risk. The very fact that they are migrating is a risk-taking, venture. Therefore, they are more likely to start businesses, be entrepreneurs, do not have required networks and careers built for them in the host country. They are uprooting their roots and going and setting up new roots. Obviously, they are bigger risk takers. Are different from host population, potentially see things differently from native groups, allows them to challenge pre-existing business, further driving productivity, foster better international trade and technology. And because they have linkages, and today because of transnational linkages, they are able to, reach out much better. Impact of migration, OECD migration policy debates the impact of migration in three areas: labor markets. 47 migrants accounted for 47% of the increase in workforce in US, 70% in Europe, fill essential niche, both in fast-growing and declining sectors. Young migrants are better educated, contribute significantly. Countries like Japan, with a significantly high aging population, need young people, and that can only be filled with migration. Same is with Europe. And that's what I said. India is in a very unique place, considering the fact that a large population per percentage of India's population is in the young phase, the economically contributing phase. The public purse, migrants contribute more in taxes, social contribution than they receive in benefits, positive impact, economic growth, boost working age population, arrive with skills, contribute to human capital development, receiving countries. In the 60s and the 70s, I think not the 60s, but the 70s and the 80s, reaching up to the 90s when the Indian economic liberalization happened, the major part of IITs and the AIMS skilled people did nothing but migrate to the US. These are the guys who are running the US big companies today. And India lost out because we were not able to engage them. And the same thing, if we are to utilize, skilled migrants, we can, fill up. For example, there is a large need of psychologists, mental health specialists in India, which can be filled up from lesser developed countries. Uh, so migration does help. Then there is diaspora entrepreneurship and investment. More risk-taking we have seen due to their knowledge of local political economy and cultural, as well as personal connection and linguistic abilities, which give them comparative advantage over the competition. And now with transnational, hang on, there is a, how does affect the domestic ground in terms of what, Priyanka? Are we talking about domestic politics or are we talking about domestic economic development? What are we talking about? Economic, social, politics. So see, remember again, everything is connected, but politics is what drives a lot of other things. Say, for example, today, if you are in any Indian city, you will see that a lot of specific jobs are only done by migrants, not by locals. For example, most of your garbage picking up is being done by migrants from our neighboring country, which our people will not do. So, but again, the fact is, if they are contributing to the economy, it goes in the GDP. Also, understand the fact that when there is, in spite of the fact that India again is a huge country with a phenomenal amount of people, remember, people keep leaving India. And one of the ways, specific niche areas or specific areas will come in is through immigration. In fact, if you see historically, India has always been the hub of immigrants. When there was, the Parsis came from Iran. Parsis have contributed phenomenally. Parsis are nothing but immigrants. The Jats came in from Central Asia. In fact, throughout history, as I keep saying, the history of human, story is a story of immigration, migration. And every immigrant which comes will contribute. Now, because there is this conflict of identity politics vis-a-vis the benefits in economy, one has to negotiate, which is happening across the world. Look at the fact that US is a country of immigrants, and immigrants contribute phenomenally to Donald Trump himself is an immigrant. And yet the domestic politics in terms of the identity politics is playing out in America. That negotiation will continue. This is not an either or situation. Priyanka? Okay, perfect. So, see, again, one needs to understand, as I keep saying, academics and scholarship is not about right, wrong, good, bad. One has to see things in their entirety. So the politicians will look at it from the political point of view. However, the politician will also look at it from the economic point of view. So, in spite of the fact that the European politicians are talking about ban the immigrant or the immigrants are there for a whole lot of problem, the governments of Europe are actually working out in terms of immigration. Okay, Jyoti is joined in Varanasi, 1 session migrant population is working as rag pickers and one as domain. Jyoti, it's not in Varanasi, it's across the country. Garbage disposal, rag picking, rickshaw driving, transportation, a whole lot of these lower, high risk, jobs which will not be done by the natives because of various caste and other issues are done by the immigrants, which is also there in terms of internal migration. So look at what are the UP people from UP or Bihar doing in, let's say, a city like Bombay or Delhi. They are doing tasks which the local Delhi and Bombay wala will not do. It could be basically because of caste, it could be basically because of socio-economic criteria and so many other. When we are looking at immigrants or migrants, there is one set we can look at. A very simple way to look at it is in the domestic way. Where are the migrants going? Why are they going? So if there are not enough jobs in, let's say, UP or Bihar, and these people immigrate or migrate to, let's say, Delhi and Bombay, they are contributing to the GDP of Delhi and Bombay. That's, but because our course is in terms of diaspora, we are looking at migration across international border. The same principles apply. Okay. Technological advancement of Israel and Taiwan can be credited to immigrants who returned from the US and the Silicon Valley in the early 80s. These return migrants brought capital, technical and operating experiences, knowledge of business model, network of contact. So today, again, the diaspora becomes a very important resource for any country. Not only the migrants who are coming, for example, today, what prevents any country, or let's say what prevents a country like India for taking in highly skilled migrants from, let's say, lower development countries in the neighborhood or in Africa, create an environment and take them, they will, contribute phenomenally. Because there are certain areas today, for example, we are extreme, for example, mental health and psychiatry, we are extremely short. High-end technology areas, we are extremely short. And it's not just India, across the world, this case is no, in fact, as we have seen, immigrants bring in a social, a social capital, a cultural capital, economic, financial cap. They add on to, the diversity does affect. Israel and Taiwan are now appreciated and acknowledged for their leading firms in software security. Return migration of skilled workers from Silicon Valley to India brought in the expertise and capital to develop the Bangalore information. You go to Bangalore, there are all these guys who've come back. Okay, a lot of immigrants were running their own businesses with local people as partnership in Varanasi. Absolutely. So it's quite clear, Jyoti, you are from Varanasi. So in fact, Jyoti, if you're interested, you can write a paper about the immigrant community in Varanasi. You can look at a particular immigrant community, and you can see how they contribute. You can look at from the economic point of view. You can look at from the yes, Jyoti, you want to ask something? Please go ahead. Jyoti, you want to ask something? In fact, what you can do is, in case you are interested, you can connect with me on the mail, or as I said, I am on Signal and Telegram messaging app, and you can, uh, share what you are looking at, and obviously I can give you some feedback, or I can give you my comments. Okay, okay, perfect. On many occasions, diaspora investment is also called diaspora direct investment, DDI. MPI report diaspora investment can contribute to the development of the following ways: foster business development, job creation, innovation, creates economic social, and diaspora direct investment is much better than foreign direct investment. Mail ID. Okay. Jyoti, my mail ID is Abhay Chawla. Oh, sorry, ABH. Hang on. That's my email ID, Abhay Chawla, ABHAY. And that's my number for I'm on Signal and Telegram. I'm not on WhatsApp. But if with the mail, we can also connect on Google Meet and we can discuss this out. Or you can just call me up and we can discuss it out. Okay. Entrepreneurship taps into social capital through cultural and linguistic understanding, positively, so many positive diaspora entrepreneurship and investment, governments have not been able to attract or harness their true potential. One of the reasons possibly is because, this is a new area which, the normal states and the governments and the bureaucracy are not able to, this balancing between the domestic politics and this diaspora politics is kind of a tricky area where people, and again, for a country like India with a huge population and a huge diaspora, obviously it's not as easy, to reconcile. It's a negotiation one has to do. Some of the diaspora obstacles include complex procedure, administrative hurdle, complicated tax laws, and these are the structures which even we as citizens face a lot of times in terms of complexity. Now think about the fact there is this diaspora who's got this capital, wants to invest, and says, "Why? Why should I do such a thing in spite of my, my linkages, my cultural linkages, my sentimentality?" At the end of the day, the diaspora is a businessman or a businesswoman, and they would be looking at maximizing their money besides sentimentality. These challenges need to be overcome for harnessing diaspora entrepreneur. In fact, it's not about India. Across the world, there are these issues which need to be ironed out, which need to be sorted out. How do you work it out? What typically happens? And as we talked about, the OCI card was one way to engage the diaspora and so on and so forth. Okay, significance of remittances. Gabiji affirmed remittances play a crucial role in boosting economy. Significance increases recipient countries' foreign exchange, less volatile in nature in comparison to any. Inevitably, a person who's gone abroad has gone to meet the family expenses. So inevitably, they would send the money back. That's why they are less volatile in nature, because a investment person will look at the market, may or may not do investment. If you have noticed the news, the foreign direct investments seem to be drying up for India for some reason. There are other regions which are becoming more attractive for foreign direct investments and so forth, so forth. Remittance support the development and financial sector development through a positive impact on bank deposit related to private sectors. Household level remittance cover daily living expenses, provide cushion against emergencies, better targeted to the need of poor in comparison to foreign aid or foreign direct investment. Foreign aid is an aid, direct investment, foreign direct investment works on. There is no sentimentality involved. Uh, uh, Sentimentality can go a long way in terms of business. So, in fact, there are these ILO instruments for remittances. There is something called a Migration for Employee Convention, undertakes to permit taking into account limit imposed by national laws, transfer of such part. And in fact, the what globalization has done is being able to move this money easily between various states, between the host state and the home state. Obviously, there is a security angle to it. States are worried about the security angle in terms of financing to extremist and terrorist organization. However, the fact is that's for the state intelligence agencies to work, but there are these instruments where they say that people will migrate, and it has to be made easy for transfer of remittances. Then there is this concept of diaspora philanthropy. Philanthropic resources may be monetary or in kind, resources like professional experience, technical experience, contact, direct service. And today it makes up a large, pool of resources for a country. For example, India having the largest, let's say, diaspora population, it becomes a huge pool where India can tap into. As per the reports, the nature of diaspora philanthropy has changed drastically, increasing mobility of talent. Unlike earlier, efforts are being made at national and international levels to attract and ease the migration process. At the end of the day, again, governments have understood. Politics have also understood, but politics are constrained by their, limitations and so on and so forth. But the governments at various state levels have understood the concept of migration and how it helps. It has liberalized the movement of less proficient workers, the movement of highly skilled expert, entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, and entertainers. Such international migration has increased wealthy, accompanied, and well-connected diaspora. And these transnational connections now actually work very well both for the home and host countries. The organizational revolution, communication revolution, emergence of internet, email, helped diaspora connect, interact, and organize with their families living abroad. And that goes in a long way. According to Johnson, based on goals and activities, mainly two clusters are active in diaspora philanthropy. Which are these two clusters? One is the Hometown Association, voluntary organizations organized by migrants from the same hometown in their country of origin who reside closely. Used to focus on creating, preserving culture. Recently, some HTAs have evolved themselves as philanthropic actors with the help of home government, raised funds, accomplished charitable projects related to education, health, infrastructure development in their hometown. And they are very powerful in the sense because they are connected at a very micro level in their home countries. So, for example, I was able to get this article in a Routledge magazine, I think. Routledge, India, absolutely. Agrarian reform and farmer resistance in Punjab. Mera pind, mera sabyachar, mera vich. In fact, I did notice in the Punjab government NRI website, which is incidentally down. The page was not loading. There is a concept of Mera Pind. So essentially, they are reaching out to people from Punjab, from particular villages who are diaspora to come and contribute back into their village. So there is this scholarly article by Shinder Thandi on how Sikh diaspora supported the Punjab Kisan Morcha or the agrarian agitation which the Punjabi farmers did in 2020. Then there are these professional associations. Support and protect the interest of their members, counter the perceived discrimination being felt, actual monetary assistance. They also provide knowledge and skills which lead profound impact. Asian American Hotel Owners Association, American Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, National Arab American Medical Association. All these networks then are able to lobby for their betterment as well. Then these, organizations can be used by home countries to, sort out or negotiate with host countries and other places. Primary mission of raising and distribution private funds through grants to support charitable issues, established as formal independent organization, provide funds primarily to civil sort, American Indian Foundation, American Ireland Fund, Isla Foundation, Brazil Foundation. There are enough of them. In the US, it does it's easier to I suppose it's easier. It makes more sense because lobbying is legally allowed and so on and so forth. So all these. But if you look at India, there is this Tamil Sangam thing in Delhi. There is this various there is this Bihari associations in Bombay. So all inevitably these networks are created. After all, these are also migrants, domestic migrants. These are also created to be able to help and push their case forward. Grant making program intermediately also foster bonds between diaspora communities and a country of ancestors, provide education, network opportunities, transfer of knowledge, build on capacity of non-profit sector within the country. And diaspora, entrepreneurship and diaspora philanthropy are two big things now which are happening. So let's look at a case study of India. Kapoor in 2001 reveals the mentoring role of Indian diaspora to be quite significant in India in primarily two ways: boosting Indian and overseas confidence. Confidence of overseas investors about India's potential. And this precisely started post 1990 economic liberalization of Manmohan Singh. Once that post liberalization happened and India opened up, there was a marked confidence abroad about India. And then, all these technical guys, technologists who went and worked in the Silicon Valley allowed these companies to get that confidence and open up offices in India. R&D centers, presence of many Indians working in the US operations, unleashing of entrepreneur culture. So the Thai example we gave earlier, the entrepreneurship, the Indian Americans who set up this angel fund, investing in Indian startups actually pushed the startup culture in India. Some return while others circulate between the two countries. Technology diffusion occurs through imitation, mimicry being an effective way to reduce search costs. Embodied technology is human rather than physical capital. And that's huge. Indian diaspora success in Silicon Valley appears to be influencing how the world views India, reflecting the reputational spillover, created a brand name where an Indian software program. Indians have been normally associated with computers, software. Ex ante signal of quality, just as made in Japan sends an ex ante signal of quality in consumer electronics. So that was the case study. Let's sum up. There has been ample evidence migration is interlinked to the economic development, interlinkages of global and migration. Reinforce each other. Entrepreneurship and diaspora limitations were discussed. Crucial elements regarding knowledge sharing, technology transfer were described. Okay. And there are some references. There are remittance market, which you can see in your unit. And let's close this. And in case there is any question. Oh, Swadesh is there. Hi, Swadesh. Good to see you. Any questions? Okay, great, Priyanka. So see again, as I keep saying, I pick up a lot of information from the unit. Sometimes I feel the unit is not able to explain certain concepts where then I go out and pick it up. I also keep looking at stories and examples from my Google search. If I come across anything to explain a concept better, and then, of course, these are self-learning modules. So just go through those modules. Sometimes there is some repetition. Sometimes there's a lot of repetition. But obviously, these are the concept where there is going to be a certain amount of repetition. In fact, the concept of globalization we talk over and over again because of the fact that the whole concept of migration and diaspora involves needs people need to understand the concept of globalization, how it works. Transnational is another concept which will keep repeating itself. Things also change as more study is done on a particular thing. So more often than not, definitions change, and I keep saying, get to know who has given the definition, in what context. Definitions are also given in a particular context. Remember, even academics is influenced by politics. There's nothing wrong about it because inevitably, if it is influenced, there are people who are ideologically aligned even in academics, which is particularly fine. We are all subjective people. We all particularly think in a particular way. We are political animals. Any person who says is not a political person is kind of not saying the complete truth because all of us are political. Every organization has a certain amount of politics. Every country and its leaders go through a politics. There is, politics and economy go through the, and culture is a part of the, human, growth and evolution. So there's nothing wrong about it. And if there is no question, then let's have a nice weekend. Wish you all a happy and safe Holi. Oh, this was helpful. Okay. Wish you a nice and safe Holi. Have a nice week ahead. And I'll see you next Saturday, 3 to 4. If India isn't able to reap benefits of young working power, are we going to lose something? Kangat, the point is gain and loss is very difficult to compute. Uh, but it definitely is there the fact that you have India today is in a unique position of having a demographic dividend. And if you are not able to constructively utilize that demographic dividend, then definitely it's a loss. It's something like this. Uh, uh, Jyoti, papers in terms of what? Papers in terms of what? Please tell me. Kangat, it's something like this. Uh, let's look at the institution of marriage. The institution of marriage is an institution which evolved over a period of time, and one of the reasons of the institution of marriage coming in was to uh, give a secure and safe environment for the next generation. Remember, all life procreates. The concept of life is the continuity of life. The underlying of life is the continuity. So the institution of marriage was evolved to give a safe and secure environment for the procreation or the next generation. Now parents have a choice after procreation when the next generation come in to see the development of the new generation or to spend time in their own growth or career or whatever it is. So if a parent is not able to spend time to see the child grow and evolve, there is a certain loss which the parents would feel because the children will grow up. There is a loss. Similarly, when a nation has a demographic dividend and is not able to utilize the dividend, it is something like this. You have money and you're not able to utilize that money, and you put it in a safe. Money in a safe is useless. Money utilized works. Putting it in a safe, digging a hole and putting out there is useless. So if you're not able to reap a benefit out of some capital, then that it goes into a loss. Kangat, I hope I've been able to explain it to you. Jyoti, you wanted papers in terms of what? Marriage migration is higher number of India. Again, I'm not able to understand, Jyoti. If you can explain it. Are you saying that after marriage, women are migrating, and are we talking about domestic migration or international migration? Well, both is happening, of course. But that's how the institution of Indian marriages is. What Indian marriages in most of the world, it's the women who move after marriage. Though nowadays, you know, as it becomes more cosmopolitan, it depends on how the couple is able to negotiate who moves. So, Jyoti, if you can write me a mail in terms of what papers you need, or what kind of, which subjects you want. You can, in case you are interested and you're not on academia, you can join academia. There is ResearchGate, there is academia, two academic areas where you'll get a lot of information, a lot of papers. Google Scholar is the place where you can search on particular keywords that you're interested in to read. A normal Google search also will be able to get you more stuff. If you are with an institution, you can get a JSTOR accessibility. JSTOR has a lot of articles, but today a lot of articles are in the open domain, what we call as Creative Commons. So whatever you read will give you more perspective on it. And at any moment of time, you feel you are not able to understand something or you need to understand something more, you can write to me. You can get in touch with Sada sir. You can ask in your WhatsApp group. I hope you've become a member of the WhatsApp group. The interesting part of networks, especially today, is the fact that it can give you phenomenal amount of information and their resources with very quick, in real time. And I still do not see social media and other networks being used very effectively by even governments and institutions the way it should be. These are phenomenal, resources which somehow does not seem to be used the way it can. Okay, so again, wish you a wonderful weekend. Happy Holi. Remain safe. Have a wonderful week ahead, and I'll see you next Saturday at 3 to 4. And we'll take up the next unit in this in this block.